With all the motif squares revealed, we will give you the final finishing and placement of the squares for this Afghan. In this video, we will show you how to pick up the stitches and work the borders along the outer edge of the Afghan. We're now ready to work the outer edge border of the entire Afghan, and the first border goes along one of the long edges, and I'm starting with this long edge of the Afghan, and you need to pick up and knit stitches along the outer edge, and I'm using a long circular needle in order to accommodate the large number of stitches that are picked up. I am using one size smaller needle than was used to make the squares. In our pattern, we call for size 8 needles to knit the actual squares, and so I am using a size 7 needle to pick up the stitches along the outside edge. And it's easier and better to use a smaller needle because it's easier to get the needle in through the fabric, and it also will create a lovely, nice, firm border around the edge. The instructions say to pick up and knit 2 stitches for every 3 rows, and I'm going to show you what that means. You're going to, I've already started picking up stitches from the top edge of the Afghan, and I'm getting close to the bottom, so let me show you how you pick up and knit. You insert your needle from the front to the back into the side edge of this row here. Wrap the yarn knitwise around the needle and pull it through to create a knit stitch on your right needle. And as you can see, it looks as if it's a knit stitch, and it actually is a knit stitch. So you've picked up a stitch in one row, pick up a stitch into the following row, and that's 2 stitches in 2 rows. Now you're going to skip the next row and pick up a stitch in that 4th row. So by doing that, you have picked up 3 stitches over 4 rows, and you continue that way all the way to the end. So let me show you again. Pick up a stitch in one row, directly into the next row, skip a row, and then pick up in the following row. And it's a good idea to lay it down every once in a while, maybe once you've finished the side edge of a square, and make sure that the stitches are nice and even. And now I'm going to do 1, 2, and I happen to be right here at the join, so I'm going to go right into the center of the join between the 2 squares. Now even. So I'm going to continue along this last square, and once again, insert needle from front to back. You do 1 row, then you do the 2nd row here, and now you're going to skip the next row and go into the 4th row. So here you have 1, 2, 3 stitches and 4 rows. So you're going to go do it again. 1, go right into the next row, skip a row, and into the next row. So I'm going to complete this pickup all the way to the edge of this last square and come right back. I'm almost to the end of the last square, and we'll pick up just a few more stitches. 1, 2, skip, and I'm going to do one last stitch right in the corner of the cast on edge. So I've now picked up my stitches all along the one side edge, long edge of the Afghan, and I'm going to turn my work and continue with my garter stitch edge going back and forth in rows. Now we're going to pick up stitches along the lower edge. So first let's pick up along the garter edge, the side of the garter stitch border, and you're going to start we want to pick up 1 stitch in each of these garter ridges. So let me start here, right in the corner. Add your new strand of yarn, and it's similar to working along the side edge of the stockinette stitch, and the only difference is that instead of doing 2 stitches for every 3 rows, you're actually going to pick up 1 stitch, as I said, in each garter edge, and that would be, you have 5 of them, so you'll be picking up 5 stitches. So I've picked up 1 here right in the corner. I'll put my needle right into that little bump, knit it onto the needle. 2, go into the next bump. 3, the next bump. 4, and then the final bump. And that is 5. Oops. Here are the 5 stitches that have been picked up along the garter border. Now we need to go along the cast-on edge. And we're going to, unlike going across the rows, we are going to go pick up and knit 1 stitch in each of the cast-on stitches. So we're still on the right side, and I like to go right under. You would want to hide this cast-on edge. So I go under the cast-on into that V of that knit stitch underneath, and knit that stitch. So keep going along. You can see the V of every stitch, and if you just go right into the center of that V and underneath the cast-on edge, it will be nice and easy. And you continue along the whole lower edge of the Afghan. So I'm going to continue and be right back. I am almost to the end of the first square, so I'm coming up close to where it was sewn to the next square. And I'm going to go right into between that join. I'm just going to go right in there, pick up a stitch, and now continue along the next square, going underneath the cast-on edge, the first cast-on stitch, and continue all the way to the end. And you'll see, if you just lay it flat, how nice and even these stitches are. They're matching up to the knit stitches, and if you look on the back, you can see that it's covered that cast-on edge. It's a bit of a ridge on the wrong side, but it makes a nice firm, it will make a nice firm edge. I have showed you how to pick up along the rows of the longer edge and how to pick up along the shorter cast-on edge. Note that where these 2 edges meet, it will create a clean mitered corner. Here is the completed Afghan. You can use this photo or the placement diagram given in the instructions to sew your squares together. You can also place the squares in any order that you wish. When adding the borders, be sure to pick up and knit the 2 long borders first. Then work the lower and top borders along the cast-on and bound-off edges, being sure to pick up and knit the 5 stitches along the 10 rows of garter edge on each side of the long borders to create the mitered corners.